So picture this for a second. You are walking down the supermarket aisle and you are looking for your usual milk, right?
Right, just a totally normal grocery run.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But you get to the dairy section and there's just this big empty space on the chilled shelf where the milk should be.
Which is frustrating, obviously.
Yeah, and, your first thought is probably that it is just a supply chain hiccup, like maybe a trucker strike or, I don't know, a broken processing valve somewhere down the line.
Sure, because we see an empty shelf and we just automatically assume a physical failure.
Right. But that empty physical space was actually the direct manifestation of a cyber attack. It was essentially an invisible line of malicious code that forced thousands of dairy cows to, well, stop producing milk.
I mean, technically, the cows kept right on going.
Well, yeah, true. The cows didn't stop. But the billion-dollar infrastructure designed to pasteurize and bottle that milk just ground to a complete and sudden halt.
It is wild. It really forces a complete reframing of how we view the physical logistics around us. Increasingly, these failures are entirely digital, just cascading right into the physical world.
Which is the core mission of our deep dive today. We're looking at the ransomware incident that recently hit Coca-Cola's dairy subsidiary, Fairlife.
It is a huge case study.
It really is.
Yeah.
We are going to explore the mechanics of how digital threats are crossing that boundary into physical manufacturing and why this matters to businesses of literally any size. Plus, what you can learn from how a massive multinational handles a total operational shutdown.
And Fairlife is just a particularly compelling lens for this because of its sheer scale.
It is massive.
Yeah, it's this ultra-filtered milk brand that essentially operates as one of Coca-Cola's quiet juggernauts. I mean, we are talking over $1 billion in annual retail sales.
Wow.
Right. It is a highly optimized, physically intensive operation.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because when we think of ransomware, we usually picture, I don't know, hacker in a hoodie locking up spreadsheets or stealing credit card numbers.
Yeah, the classic movie trope.
Exactly. We don't picture them stopping dairy cows and halting literal milk production. But on July 16th, that optimization hit a brick wall.
It did.
Coca-Cola filed a formal report with the SEC stating that Fairlife had experienced I think the phrasing was unauthorized third-party access to its systems.
Right, specifically noting that production-related systems were caught up in a ransomware event.
And the immediate consequence of that was that all U.S. production of Fairlife was temporarily suspended, just totally frozen.
Though it is worth noting the Canadian operations kept running.
Oh, right, because they were running on separate systems, right? So they were unaffected, and product safety was never compromised. But those core U.S. factories were just dead in the water.
Yeah. And before we get into the mechanics of why those factories came to a halt, we should probably note what the sources say we don't know yet.
Good point. There are a few unknowns. Like, as of now, no specific group has actually claimed responsibility for this intrusion.
Right, and we don't know if data was stolen, or if a ransom was demanded, or if they even paid one.
Yeah, those details usually trickle out later anyway. But the facts on the ground are stark enough. Hackers breached a network, and physical conveyor belts just stopped moving.
What's fascinating here is the distinction between two totally different technological environments. You have the IT side, and then you have the OT side.
Okay, so break that down for us. What is the difference?
So IT is information technology. This is the office layer, right? We are talking corporate emails, human resources, accounting files, customer records. It is all the data that manages the business.
Right, the stuff sitting on office servers.
Exactly. And on the other side, you have operational technology, or OT. This is the machine layer.
So the factory floor.
Yeah. The actual code that tells a mechanical valve to open for exactly 3 seconds to fill a bottle, or, monitors pasteurization temperatures to make sure everything meets FDA compliance.
Wait, so if these layers do totally, completely different things, why does an email hack stop a factory valve? I mean, it sounds like someone breaking into the manager's office of a restaurant and somehow all the stoves in the kitchen instantly shut off.
That is a really great analogy. And the answer is efficiency. For decades, those two worlds were physically separate.
Like completely disconnected.
Yeah, historically they were entirely air-gapped. The network running the accounting department had literally no physical cable connecting it to the network running the robotic arms on the assembly line.
That makes sense.
But over the last 20 years, businesses wanted real-time data. They wanted the IT system to know exactly how many bottles the OT system produced today so it could automatically adjust supply chain orders for tomorrow.
So they built a bridge between the manager's office and the stoves.
Exactly. And when crooks breach that office layer now, There is very often a direct path right to the machines.
Which is terrifying.
It is. But there is a crucial nuance here. Sometimes attackers do reach the OT directly and mess with the machines. But just as often, companies shut down production deliberately.
Wait, really? They hit the emergency stop themselves.
Yeah, they pull the plug out of pure necessity because they can no longer trust their IT systems to do quality control.
Oh, I see. So even if the machines pumping the milk are fine, you still have a massive problem.
Right. In the dairy industry, you have these incredibly strict regulatory requirements. You have to track exact batch numbers, continuous temperature logs. If the system that verifies that data is locked up by ransomware, you can't prove the milk is safe.
You basically have a physical product that has become a giant liability. Even if the pasteurizer works, without the digital compliance log, you can't legally put it on a truck.
Exactly. The safest move is just to stop the line.
Which brings up a really uncomfortable reality for any physical business. It isn't just giants like Coca-Cola.
Oh, absolutely not.
Right. If you run a regional food processor, or a local transport firm, or even a local trades business where you use digital systems to schedule jobs,
Yeah.
you have an OT layer.
Any business that uses digital instructions to manipulate physical reality has this exact vulnerability.
So how do you survive it?
Well, the first crucial defense is segmentation. The office network must be separated from the operations floor with very tightly controlled crossing points.
Right, so you can't just have one big open network.
Exactly. If a factory PC is on the exact same network as everyone's corporate email, a single phished password in HR can halt a production line.
Here's where it gets really interesting to me. The highest value security money a physical business can spend isn't on some flashy AI cyber defense. It is just the unglamorous work of keeping networks apart.
It is entirely unglamorous. It is tedious architectural discipline. You need completely separate authentication protocols. But that is the physical firewall that keeps the business alive.
But even with good architecture, you still have to assume the network might go down. And this brings up the second lesson. When Coca-Cola filed with the SEC, they noted the activation of business continuity protocols.
Which is such a vital phrase. It means they had a plan before the attack ever happened.
Are you saying the ultimate defense against a highly sophisticated digital ransomware attack is a literal pencil?
I am absolutely saying that. We call it paper and pencil continuity.
That is wild.
It forces a brutal examination of your business, and the sources highlight this beautifully. You have to ask the hard questions. If computers die today, can you actually operate?
Like, can you run the factory blind?
Exactly. Can you take orders by phone? Can you dispatch trucks using printed schedules? Can you sell from the counter with just a card machine and a notebook?
I imagine a lot of modern facilities would just freeze up. I mean, they are built on sensor data and predictive algorithms.
Totally. And the businesses that have actually rehearsed this manual fallback, they come out bruised. It hurts financially, but they survive.
Right, they keep moving.
Yeah, but the ones that haven't practiced it, they just stop dead. Discovering you have no manual fallback while staring at a ransom note is a catastrophic failure.
Wow. Okay, so surviving the physical shutdown is really only half the battle. Because how a company handles the public narrative dictates their long-term survival, right?
Absolutely. Their brand reputation is on the line.
Which brings us to the third lesson from the sources. Proper disclosure. Coca-Cola's response here was super interesting.
It was. If we connect this to the bigger picture, Coca-Cola did something fairly rare. Within days, they filed that formal document plainly stating production was suspended.
They didn't try to hide it.
No, they named the subsidiary, they laid out their actions, they said they brought in outside cyber experts and notified law enforcement.
Contrast that with what we usually see. Usually a factory goes quiet and the PR department issues some vague statement about an IT issue or an outage.
Right, they hide behind euphemisms. They hope they can quietly fix it before a hacker's leak site forces their hand.
And for you listening, this matters so much. Fast, plain disclosure isn't just about ticking regulatory boxes. It protects the brand.
It really does. It allows partners in the supply chain to actually plan.
Exactly. If you are a grocery chain and your milk deliveries stop, you need to know why so you can adjust. And crucially, plain disclosure takes away the criminal's leverage.
That is the most important part. Modern ransomware is almost always a double extortion scheme now.
Because they steal the data before they lock the systems.
Yeah. So their leverage is the threat of publishing that sensitive data. If a company tries to hide the breach, they are handing the attackers an enormous weapon.
Because the attackers know the company is terrified of the PR disaster.
Right. But if you've already filed a public document with the government saying, hey, we were breached, the threat to leak that fact is hollow. The honest version of the story, told early, is almost always the cheapest one.
That makes total sense. So as we look at the fallout of an incident like this, the immediate crisis obviously recedes eventually. The forensic teams do their thing, the milk will flow again, and Fairlife will return to the shelves.
Right, the physical disruption ends, but the financial scars will definitely show up in the next quarter's numbers.
Oh, for sure.
You have to account for lost production, the response costs for those elite cyber teams, and just massive amounts of overtime for the internal staff.
So what does this all mean? The sources really detail a massive paradigm shift here. Ransomware stopped being just a data privacy problem years ago.
Totally.
It is now a physical operations problem.
Yeah.
The businesses that survive are the ones with segmented networks, rehearsed analog fallbacks, and just honest, fast communication.
That is exactly the takeaway.
So I want to ask you, the listener, to really consider your own workplace or business. Have you mapped out what actually separates your office systems from your operational ones? Have you answered the "could we operate without computers" question out loud before someone forces you to?
It is a question every leader needs to ask, and it leaves us with a final thought to mull over, building on what these sources have shown us.
Yeah, lay it on us.
Think about it. If a billion-dollar, highly resourced brand like Coca-Cola can have its physical production abruptly halted by a digital intrusion, what does this mean for the fragility of our entire just-in-time modern world?
It is a little unsettling to think about.
Right. If the invisible bridge between IT and OT can literally stop the milk, what other essential, everyday physical items in our homes and cities are quietly sitting just one phished email away from grinding to a complete halt?